G'day guys, Zabe here with Zebra Solutions. Today I wanted to cover NetSuite's ability to track and manage vendor prepayments. A lot of organizations out there need to be able to keep track and supply suppliers, vendors, contract manufacturers of some form of upfront payment. Typically this is done via spreadsheets or a Google Sheet or something along those lines. Today I'll show you how you can manage that entire process within NetSuite. So the first thing we do once we've logged into NetSuite is that we need to enable a few features. So if I go to Setup, then Setup Manager, and I can simply start typing vendor pre as an example, look up a few features here. The first one we'll need to enable is this option down here to actually enable the vendor prepayment transaction set. The second thing we need to do is actually, from a general ledger perspective, have a GL account assigned to the vendor prepayment. So this is typically going to be some form of asset account or something along those lines. And I've just mapped it to vendor prepaid supplies. It could be whatever you want if you wanted to keep that separate there. So let's go back to our dashboard over here. And the next thing we'll do is start looking at some of the transactions within NetSuite to manage this process. So I'll go to my recent records, and I've got a purchase order that I've created over here. And you'll see that this purchase order for CAB Consulting is for an item over here, a quantity of 10, and the overall purchase order dollar amount is about $46,000. You can now see that I've got an enter vendor prepayment or enter prepayment option available within the application or within the transaction. So let's go ahead and enter a prepayment here. This is a brand new transaction within NetSuite after we enable that feature. And from here, I can go ahead and specify my bank account. So I can say my US checking, and also over here, we've got the standard ability to print checks as well as create some additional vendor prepay or payment transactions. If we were to do wire, ACH, credit card, whatever it may be, you can record that fact here. So once we've done this, we can go ahead and save this. And this is actually recording a payment transaction with NetSuite, a prepayment transaction within NetSuite. And from a GL perspective, if I go to my GL impact, you can see here it's crediting my checking account and then posting to my prepaids over here, my prepaid accounts, prepaid supplies. Let's go back to that purchase order over here. And now I can go through my standard receiving and AP billing process. From here, I can go ahead and receive this. For direct procurement, this works the same way. For indirect, I can, rather than having an item receipt, I can go directly to the bill, and I can just go ahead and save this. I'll receive the total amount of 10 over here, so let's go ahead and save this. And let's go back to my purchase order. So now we've received the inventory. You can see it's in a status of pending bill. I've got 10 received against my original quantity of 10. Right. Let's go ahead and now say at some point in the future or today or as soon as I receive that, I can enter a bill against this purchase order. I can go ahead and enter my AP bill transaction here for that $46,000 and simply save this transaction. I've got to enter a reference number, so which will be the invoice number. I'll just say invoice 1234. Go ahead and save this. And you'll notice because we've got that vendor prepayment, this status is now paid in full. If I go to my system related records rather, you can see that I've got my vendor prepayment application. So that's two transaction sets, with the original vendor prepayment and the application of that prepayment to a vendor bill. Go ahead and look at that record, and from a GL impact, you'll notice that we're crediting that prepaid supplies and my accounts payable over here. Another thing to note is if we look at the vendor prepayment itself over here that I originally created, the payment amount was for the entire $46,000 over here. If I was to do a partial payment, for example, if I was only to pay $20,000 originally. $20,000 would have been applied to the AP bill, leaving the remainder balance of $26,000 open on the bill, which I could then subsequently pay. And that's managing vendor prepayments within NetSuite. Thanks, everyone.